just thoughts overall on this upcoming match.
I think every match we play in this league is difficult. I think we found a good recipe in that we really focus on ourselves and what we need to do to continue to improve. San Diego's a fantastic team. They're going through a bit of a patch at the moment, but they got quality players that can make the difference in any game, as they've proven over the course of the last, whatever it's been, 16 months of their integration into the league. So I anticipate a hard-fought match, and one that's going to be, determined in transition moments, as was our last game against them in San Diego. So really good team. We've got to be up for a challenge to continue our run of form.
How are the guys feeling right now overall? I mean, such a great start to the season here. I imagine practice and all that's got to be high intensity.
Yeah, you bring up a great point. Winning is a secret sauce, and it allows you to communicate messages clearly. It allows you to have a very competitive training environment where everyone wants to make sure that they're the ones that are maintaining and increasing the standard. And again, I couldn't be more proud of the group that we have, the culture that we've created here. And it's been a real joy. And so I think, the one thing I don't have to ask is give 100% every day. These guys are doing it because they feel it, and they also feel that we have something special brewing with this group.
Undefeated at home so far this season. 2 big home games over the next 8 days for you guys. I guess what's the opportunity in front of you over this next week or so?
Yeah, again, I think it's we talk about it before every home game that it's a special moment. I think going into the season, no one really gave us a chance this year, and I think that is a great impetus for us to make sure that we continue with the type of start that we have to games at home, bringing the fans into the game, being electric in the way we play, being very front-footed, and creating good opportunities to score goals and then scoring the goals. And I think, with these two teams, they're going to be difficult, but both these teams, I think, offer opportunities in transition, and that's one area of our game that we've improved drastically this year, and we'll have to continue to exploit in these next 2 matches to be able to get good results.
Some of the guys at the end of last season were pretty open about their overall disappointment, I think, with some of the home results, a couple drop points here and there and that kind of thing. Was that an emphasis coming into this year to figure out, to kind of shore up sort of what made this place so special, bringing other teams up to altitude, that kind of thing, to kind of turn AFF back into a force? Yeah,
I don't think it was deliberate home or away. I think it was more like, how do we improve our overall football? And then naturally, you're going to get an advantage at home, whether you're at altitude or not, just based on the fan support. The 12th man is going to be huge. And so how do we become a better team, whether we're home or away, to really incite the fans to be a part of the experience, to use them as someone to lean on when moments are tough during moments in games at home. So I think it was more of a big picture perspective as to how we're going to do that, and it wasn't just at home, but it was home and away. And I think when you get one win at home, I think our first game was against Seattle, then the belief sets in, the confidence sets in, our quality sets in, and then it really is the little snowball that starts rolling down the hill that inspires the group and adds belief into the group.
Looked like there's a pretty full group out there today, as full as it's been in a while. The guys working their way back in and everything. Has there already been some thought put into, with 3 games in the next 9 days or whatever it is, and into realizing that, hey, there's probably going to be a need for some squad rotation and guys are going to get minutes and that kind of thing?
Yeah. We haven't talked about that. Again, the way I talk about any game is the most important one is the one right before us. And I think this week is really unique, where usually in a 3-game week, it's 7 days in between the 3. Here we have 8. That allows pretty good recovery between the games. So what I don't want to do as a coach is make promises that I can't keep, right? So I think it's important that we approach this game right, and then we'll have 3 days before the next game, which allows most of the guys to recover. And then again, we have Jay Glad coming back into the group hopefully tomorrow, which will be really good for us. And that's kind of the decision as well. We don't know exactly how we'll go this weekend until we know exactly who's available. But I think we'll just take it one game at a time. There's been guys like Vic, for example, who hasn't been getting a good run of games, who will more than likely get a great run this week. He's been really sharp in training. And so the one thing about this group is the guys that haven't been getting a lot of minutes, like Alex, for example, last game, hadn't gotten a run in quite some time, stepped in and did a great job in the absence of Wanma. And I think, you watch teams in all these different sports, it's rarely about the first 11. It's really about the rest of the guys coming in when there's injuries, when there's suspensions, when there's all these different things that you can't prepare for, but are ready to come in. And I think that's what's really unique about this group.
Pablo, coming off of a bye week and being able to get another chance to see the San Diego roster in action and then see another red card coming out of McVeigh, how does that adjust your training coming into this week?
Well, again, I think it's, we're using a lot of our plans going to San Diego, and a big part of that was how do we defend against a team that really prides himself on being an attacking team and creating a lot of opportunities in those attacking moments and then breaking teams down. So that's really our blueprint. As to, their players getting red cards, that's a part of a game. But again, I think when you're constantly threatening their back line, you're going to ask a lot of questions of their center backs. And, playing in the back four, they're going to have to shift from sideline to sideline. And so if we can have penetrating runs that are asking a lot of questions, I think one will ask, they'll find themselves in challenges that they probably won't want to make. And also we'll have space behind their back line to try to exploit. And so I think between those two things, given the way they play and what we've seen, unless they change when they come here, is we're expecting a team that's going to be very dogmatic in the way they want to play. And so the onus is on us to be able to thwart that, but then come up with a solution as to how we're going to score goals. And I think our last game, we left a couple on the table. And not only that, they made a couple goal line saves. Their goalkeeper played extremely well. So I feel like if we're the best version of ourselves, we'll have opportunities to capitalize on their back line.
Thank you. Pablo? You've talked a lot about, or we talked a lot about playing on the front foot, being aggressive. The SKC match was the one where it felt like not only was RSL creating chaos, but they were controlling it, not being controlled by it. Do you see that as a next step for this group?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I think if you go back to the beginning of the season, I think there was a lot of chaos and it wasn't a lot of us controlling it, which makes it, again, difficult to understand the moments, and we've talked about this, of when to put your foot on it and when to attack the back line, that where you have numbers up or even numbers where understanding, because again, it's when you talk about tactics, it's really not contextual. I guess what I'm saying is game state isn't a part of that equation when we talk about game plans, right? And so as the hardest thing to do is manage games and manage moments. And so if the game is really, really transitional and we're not reaping the benefits of it, we want the game to be a bit more controlled. And so now we've been working on, again, the attacking side of the game, the build part of the game, to be able to then be a complete team. I think if you're very one-dimensional in the way you play, it's very easy for teams to scout you, prepare for you. When you're good in all phases, it's very difficult for teams to understand where they're going to get hurt by you. And so I think for us, the KC was a good example of that. And now we want to turn those opportunities into goals. But if it's not, we want to make sure that if the game is chaotic, it's because we're down and we want the game to be chaotic, not because we're winning and we want the game to be chaotic.
Okay. And then RSL and San Diego have similar approaches with roster. A lot of young players. You're the top, both in the top three teams for youth minutes so far in the season. You also both want to play with the ball. What are you seeing as far as what's working for your team, turning that youth into winning matches as opposed to losing composure and taking these red cards like that? Yeah,
well, I think I'll only speak to our group. I think the most important thing for us is that we create an environment for these players to thrive, and that I know that sounds, far off from probably what you expected, but I think it's really about the ethos of the club, the experienced players understanding the club and who we are and the way we want to move forward. And so then they create these, I call them pillars within the team, these experienced players that these younger guys can lean on in tough moments. And you've got to have that in order to be to bring on younger players. If your whole team is young, then it's essentially the blind chasing the blind in difficult moments. There's no one to look up to and go, hey, just give me the ball, I'll control it, right? Everyone's just kind of looking around for the next guy to do that. And so I think we did a good job this year of bringing in some really good pillars that creates a safe space for these young players to be who they are and not try to fit into the mold, but be creative if you're an attacking players, and I think that, Aiden has done that, Gozo continues to do that, Sergi has done that, Luka Moisa, when he's in there, has done that, Griffin has come in and played his own style, and so I think it's a very thoughtful, deliberate roster build to be able to create an environment for these young guys to flourish.
What's the start of the season been like?
I think we know how good our team is and how we work hard when we are really a team, and that we are capable now to show on the field, but still early, and we gotta keep working hard and keep pushing each other, and I do believe we can have an amazing season, and with this atmosphere in our stadium as well, the fans happy the way we've been playing, so all this stuff is so important for us and to have a great season.
I talked to Pablo about this, but I feel like a good start like this has to make practice and everything just elevated. I imagine, is that the feeling inside the locker room? You guys are excited to be out here every single day?
Yeah, for sure. Like I always told, since I came here, I'm always excited to wake up and come here working because we have so many good players. We have an amazing changing room, and we are friends. That's the point. Like, we are friends, and when we are friends outside the field and we can put this on the field as well, that's our difference this season, and now we gotta, as I said, keep going, pushing, and make big things.
Yeah, last question I have for you. A long stretch here, 3 games in a small period of time.
Yeah.
How are you guys approaching that?
Honestly, for us it was bad because we were in a good momentum, and as a player we train every day to play games. No, nobody likes to just training. But that's it. We had to push each other and be ready for this week and these follow weeks, because we have 3 games in a row, so we are going to be ready.
2 of those games are at home, and you
Yeah.
have not lost at home yet. What makes playing at the stadium special, and how can you guys keep that going?
Yeah, I think that's our goal. Making points, don't drop points at home, and keep pushing and believing. I think it's so hard. Soccer, maybe, I don't know other sports, but soccer is so important when you play at home, and when you can build a good atmosphere and build a hard place to play against is hard. So it's my feeling now. We know we have a good stadium, we have a great fans, we have the altitude as well. So all these stuffs help us and help us if we do our job as we've been doing.
Rafa, as the captain and as the goalkeeper, what do you see on the pitch that maybe we aren't seeing as the fans or those of us who are on the outside? Just as far as this season.
Yeah, I don't know if all fans, they don't see, I'm not sure. But normally on soccer you see the guy who scored a great goal, like Gozo. You see like Dish making good plays, Morgan as well, and they don't see the run behind, like Noel, what he's been doing, the back line, how much work they've been putting, like shifting lines and pressing high. So I suppose most of the fans can see. Some fans, they see just the goal, but as I said, everybody has their job, and I think everybody's doing well your job. So my job is trying to save and help the team. Noel is cover, the back line is shifting, but at the end of the day, everybody do this for our big players to score goals and make good goals.
And then, by the way, happy International Goalkeeper Day.
Thank you.
You've made some incredible saves so far this season, and some of those at home in front of some very grateful fans. How does that affect your mentality going in, where you have been able to pull off so many miracles for this fan base so far? How does that affect your mentality and your training, and does that give you a sense of personal accomplishment?
Honestly, no, bro. I'm never satisfied, to be honest. As a goalkeeper, I gotta try to be on my best every single game, because I know my role is so important, and my main goal is help the team. So as soon as I'm helping the team, I gotta think in another game and do the same. So when the season is over and you achieve all this stuff, now you can be happy. So it's still far away. Yeah.
Thank you.
You talked about how good of friends this locker room is, like the guys in this locker room. What is it about this group that kind of came together to where you had some new guys join the club, and it seems like they kind of jumped right in. They fit in really well on the pitch, off of it. Like how did this group kind of come together so quickly?
Yeah, I mean, last season we had a great changing room as well. But last season we had the problem like some important players were sold, and we took a little longer to sign new players because we were changing as well the ownership. So all these stuffs played against us. But this season, like as we had the team working together, and I mean, it was my second year as well. So other players playing here for a long time. So I think like it's easy for the new players coming because they feel supported since the first day. So that's why I felt that when I came here, and that's our job to make sure everybody comes feel in the same way, and we are trying to do that, and I think that's working well.
Okay, Alpha. So one of the things that we see a lot when there is a lot of turnover in a roster is difficulty getting into the schemes for set pieces. And set piece goals have certainly been an issue, but not against Kansas City. How do you see that progression from your side, being the main communicator, kind of moving everybody around?
Yeah, we've been working a lot on set pieces. We have like the coaching staff, they have a new strategy, and we've been working more in a different way than we were working. But it's important as well to understand the type of players we have. We have like fast players, quality players. So normally when you have players in this way, you suffer a little bit in set pieces. That's normal. I suffered in Santos as well when I started because everybody has quality to play. So it's normal. If you have just big players and strong and just run, you probably defend better. So it's the way we play, it's our identity. But for sure we've been working to get better, because if we improve in this way, we are going to be better.
And one of the, everyone talks about your saves, and rightfully so. One of the things that Pablo and Mirza have both talked about with you since you arrived last year is your communication and how vital your ability to communicate to the players in front of you has been to RSL's success. How do you see your role in communicating when the ball turns over, like it did against SKC in a dangerous area? How to keep that from biting you?
Yeah, I mean, I think for all of us, we play in the back line. The communication is important before the things happen, no? So we try to organize before. We always think in the bad way, like the worst way, like, oh, he can miss the pass, he can miss the cross or the goal. And so our job, as I said, everybody has your job. My job is not watching the game and be like, Gozo, let's go. No, my job is like, as soon as I miss goals, sometimes they score and I'm talking to other players. So that's my job and our backline job. So we got to make sure we keep doing that and improve every time.
How's the team feeling right now? Quite the start of the season and heading into this match with San Diego.
The team is doing very well. Of course, it's kind of difficult if you don't really come into the rhythm of playing games week in, week out, because of the international break. Now the last week we didn't play a game, but I think we're training well and everybody's ready and everybody's excited for next week. So
you just talked about you had a break, but then now you're going to have kind of madness. You have 3 games in a short stretch here. Just how do you mentally prepare for those games coming up?
For me personally, it's not difficult to prepare yourself for games. I rather play every game, every week or every day a game than train. So for me, it's very easy, and I feel like the rest of the group is the same. And you start playing football because you like to play games. So I don't think me and us as a team need to prepare ourselves mentally for that week.
You got a little taste of the home crowd when you scored the goal against Austin. What are you excited about going into these 2 home games over the next week or so, just getting back in front of that crowd?
I think it's always nice to play home games and to win games in front of your own fans, and you want to show the fans what you and what we are capable of. So yeah, I feel like at home we are strong at the moment. So I would like to build on the winning streak or that we have at home.
As one of the new guys to the club, was there anything about kind of the home crowd, the home stadium, those home games, that feeling, anything surprise you?
I do like the fact that every game I was here, the stadium was sold out or almost sold out. So that's a good thing. And yeah, the only thing we can give them is wins. And yeah, I don't know if I'm surprised about something. I just enjoy playing at home, so I'm not really surprised about anything.
Does it feel like a proper football crowd?
I think so. Obviously, it's my first time outside Europe, and in Europe there are some great clubs, but with a lot of good fans. But I feel like here it's good. It's maybe not as much like in Europe. You have a lot of like songs and everything.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe that's a bit less here, but I still do think that the atmosphere and the vibe in the stadium is great.
How do you feel the midfield is going? Is it as strong as you're wanting it to be, or is it something that maybe with the introduction of young players is still getting tweaked a little bit?
I think the midfield is in a good shape at the moment. I think we have a couple or a lot of good players that can play in midfield. Best game it was me and Noel, but I think there's more options. We have good players, we have good talents as well coming through. So I think we look good, and I feel like everybody's ready to play. And I'm a bit surprised by the quality of the young guys, especially. I think they're very, very mature already for their age, and yeah, I think a lot of those guys have great future ahead of them.
And how are you finding the adjustment?
Interruption. I'm just gonna
put
this back in here.
Yes. Thanks.
And how are you finding the adjustment to Utah coming from Europe?
It's different. I would say it's very different than what I'm used to. But I like to see new things in the world, and I feel like the life here is a lot about being outside. I love to be outside. Until now, the weather has been great, so I have nothing to complain.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey Stijn,
Hi.
just off that drill you started with today, how are you in the midfield reading when to step forward with the ball, when to step back and protect the space behind you?
Yeah, it's difficult to say. I don't know. Sometimes I think it's more of in my game, it's more of a feeling that you also are a bit more experienced now. I've played a lot of games, so I don't know. It's just the feeling. I think that you sometimes know when to step forward and when to step backwards. So
not a specific trigger for each opponent, just as you feel it in the match.
Of course, we analyze the opponents and you see where their weak points are or how we're gonna press them. So of course you have to listen to that. But in the game, you also have to decide very quick. So then it's also, I think, a combination of what you discussed before and your feeling at that point.
And then, as one of the veteran players on the team, how do you see the difference between a young team that's winning, like RSL is doing, and a young team that's kind of going through the learning process right now, like San Diego has done?
Of course, if you're winning, life is easy. You know, like if you win the weekend, the whole week is easy. We're gonna see what kind of group we are if we lose a couple games. That's what's gonna identify and show in the end of the season where you belong. I feel like if we're gonna have a little bit of a tough time, but I feel like every team is gonna come through at one point in the season. We are strong enough mentally and physically to deal with that. Yeah, so what I just said, I think the young guys, especially, they are very mature. And if you want to succeed in football, you need to come through the tough times. So I hope they will not come very soon, but for sure they will come somewhere during the season, and then it's up to us how to deal with that.